Hello, everyone. We're very glad that you joined us today, that you joined our webinar dedicated to IFC SDK Interoperability Toolkit for IFC files. And let us start. It's time to start. Okay, I will introduce the persons who will participate from Open Design Alliance side in this webinar. They are Igor Igorachев, IFC SDK Team Lead, Alexander Matvienko, IFC SDK Software Engineer, and me, Alexander Borovikov, Customer Experience Team Lead. And the plan of our webinar is the following. We'll provide a brief introduction about the importance of IFC support nowadays. Then we will provide a section dedicated to what you can do with ODA IFC SDK. We'll cover the what's next items, and then we will switch to the questions and answers session. Usually the presentation takes about half an hour and the questions and answer session takes about an hour. We engage you to ask your questions here in the chat box or in the questions box, so we can gather them, we can find similar ones, and thus answer as many questions as possible. You can start typing your questions right now, during the presentation, as soon as they occur, and during the questions and answer sessions as well. And IFC support. IFC is an open standard with ongoing development and is used for project data exchange and storage. And as it is an open standard, it gives the possibility for software choice. So you are not bound to a particular proprietary format and thus particular proprietary software. And when we speak about data exchange and storage, it's necessary to understand that it introduces the following useful features. It introduces many-to-one conversion instead of many-to-many, because in complex projects development, sometimes many software versions with various files formats are used, and the conversion between those formats is required. And here IFC stands as an intermediate version or the single source of truth that allows to perform conversion many-to-one in a many-to-one manner. It aggregates, IFC format aggregates data from multiple disciplines and also allows the usage of custom parameters. Due to all these advantages, it is used by many official institutions in many countries. And what you can do with IFC SDK is the general question. The general answer for this question is that you can join the OpenBeam approach, because you will match one of the OpenBeam requirements. It is support of some open standard, and here it is IFC. But if talking about more details, in a more detailed way, you and your solution, your software will be able to find its place in the IFC-based workflow. So if we have some workflow of a complex project with various software types in charge of a particular area, you can find your place, and the users will leverage the benefits of your SDK if you are able to work with IFC format. And also, basing on the approach many-to-one, you can enhance your compatibility if you use your own format for your software. Thus, through IFC, you will be able to establish compatibility with a bunch of formats. And as also, we already mentioned that IFC aggregates data from multiple disciplines and stores it. It opens possibilities for your applications, for new features for end users. So you can use this information to provide structure view, design view, energy reports or bills or whatever, based on the data that you can now get access to. And now we'll switch to a blog that is dedicated to a more technical side, to capabilities of ODA IFC SDK. And first, some statistics regarding the overall situation. If we go to Building Smart site, the company, the organization that actually develops the standard, will find 18 companies and 4 open source projects that in some way support IFC, at least declare that they do that. And if we pay attention to the versions supported, the versions 2x, 3, and 4, we'll find that only 7 companies and 2 open source projects in some way support both of the versions of this of IFC format. As you see, the range, the list of the companies is not big. Thus, some products are very expensive due to this overall situation. And ODA hopes to change it to better a little bit, the overall situation, and Autodesk development of IFC SDK is based not only on goodwill, but also on partnership with the Building Smart organization. This partnership was established in 2019, and one of the purposes is fast delivery of new IFC versions of the SDKs that is with new IFC versions. Building Smart guys told that sometimes there appears a situation that the format, the new version of the format is released, but a significant time passes since the release date after somebody starts to use it, and thus they do not get a quick feedback and the necessary. This partnership will implement not only already released standards, but even candidate standards. So it will be possible to get some feedback and real life experience on the development stage and release a better version when it is about official release of the new version. And overall, it's necessary to improve the consistency of IFC usage because our members report us situations and files when IFC format is implemented not correctly, not exactly according to the scheme, not exactly to the scheme that is provided by Building Smart. And this actually ruins the overall interoperability and the very idea of IFC format. So we hope to improve the situation. And as for our capabilities, version supported, the result of our efforts and of partnership with Building Smart is the following: that we support versions 2x3, 4x0, 4x1, 4x2, and even the candidate standard 4x3 that was announced and released in April this year, 2020. We already also provide access to the data stored in this format, and we'll need some time to provide full support of this version. What else? But when we talk about the access to data, which is a significant part of working with IFC format, were reported, and we know about many use cases, different approaches, and thus we provide 4 approaches for accessing IFC data. The first one is C++ API early bound. The second one, C++ API late bound, C-style SDAI, and the common data access. First, about the early bound API. It is based on the Express scheme implementation and is version dependent. That means that namespace names, like enumeration names and similar things, the very code is version dependent. On one hand, it's a good advantage because if you create a new file from the scratch and fill it with various entities, it's almost impossible to make a mistake because you will reveal this mistake on the compile stage, and it eases the development. But if your purpose is support of multiple versions in one code and you wish to create version agnostic code, you should use the C++ late bound API. As you see on the screenshot, it operates with parameter names, so no direct being with the class or method names. It is version agnostic, and it's easier to create and design version independent code. And if your software is intended to work with multiple versions and is aimed for a quick upgrade of the versions supported, it's reasonable to use this approach. One more approach is C-style SDA. It actually implements the standard, and the key advantage of this SDK is the possibility for a quick transition to ODA SDK from another SDK that also uses C-style SDAI. So if you have like a product that is based on an expensive IFC SDK, and you investigate for possibility to reduce the cost and probably to make the transition to ODE, it will be quite easy to make this evaluation and to replace the existing SDK with ODE SDK. And the fourth approach is the common data access. It's a multi-format ODA approach. You can also see a screenshot of some code example. It provides, I would say, an easy access to data. So if you plan to work with multiple formats with ODA SDKs, it is reasonable to pay attention to this approach, because you will be able to access various data of various formats in a general manner. I think that's it. And our archive also provides a set of console examples that will help you to quicker get started with our IFC SDK. Those are simple console examples. It's easy to understand the key purpose, the implementation of the main feature, but we have also more complex ones, and one of them is IFC to DWG export. As I said, interoperability with other formats and being able to convert data from IFC, for instance, to another format is an important part of this approach, and important part of the IFC SDK, and we'll show it how it looks like. You can also evaluate this possibility in our examples. We will open an IFC model. You can see it is a model of a bridge. Just one more thing that I would like to show you. If we switch to wireframe mode, we can see those red elements that show us that we are working with the 4x2 version of IFC. And now let us save it to DWG, the same name of the file, DWG extension. Let's close IFC model and open the DWG result. Here it is, just created. And you see the result is the same, but it's necessary to pay attention that we export only geometry data. So that's our bridge. Only geometry data is exported currently. Let us move next and provide a couple of words about what we can achieve if we use both IFC and other ODA SDKs, as ODA is a part of the overall ODA family. So let us move further, and we can use it together with our Visualize SDK, because we have a model that converts IFC data to our internal VSF format, and thus it's possible to use it in our general purpose Visualize SDK and apply various extended capabilities. But I won't show you right now our ODE viewer, but I will show you another example. It is in some way the contribution of ODE to the overall OpenBIM approach. It is a free of charge open IFC viewer available for everybody for download. Please let me show you. That is the site, openifcviewer.com. You can go and review its briefly possibilities. You can see the features available, and you can download it. Currently, it is Windows 7 version, but we're working in this area, so you can download, try, check your models, whether they are implemented according to the standard exactly, and let us show you the interface. That's it. And let us open our bridge model. So that's it. It's possible to apply some tools like cutting plane or whatever. So you can really download and use it for your purposes if you find it reasonable. And now let us move further. One more option is we're able to convert our IFC data to our internal format. It means that we're able to perform visualization on web using our Opengl SDK, and that's our viewer. It is available on our site in this section, Demo Cloud Viewer. You can upload your files and play around with them, and here we have already uploaded our bridge IFC model. Let's visualize it. So that's it. We can use predefined views and similar things. We can add a markup, for instance, and save it, whatever. And it's also necessary to mention that this approach with Opengl is also available on mobile platform. Now you can see my screen on the mobile device. We're on our cloud viewer, and we can open our model. Unluckily for now, our demo cloud viewer doesn't work with our mobile devices in full scope. I mean that touchscreen capabilities are not implemented currently, but we will improve this situation. But all the clickable options are available for you. We can open mockup, for instance, and see how it looks. So now let's get back to our presentation, and the next item is publishing to 3D PDF. So this feature is available almost for all our SDKs and formats. We can show it also in our ODMFC application. We will open our bridge model and we'll load the model that implements PDF publish commands. That's it, XPDF publish commands model. After we add this, we have an additional item in the registered commands, and we can perform the export. Export the file here, and let's call it bridge PDF. The export is performed, and we can open and have a look at the file. looks screencasting occupies some resources. As you can see, we have a PDF file with a 3D model embedded, and it's pretty much the same what we had in our IFC model. That's the tree view, different options for rotation and similar things. The name, the date, and other options. And now let's move further and talk about the what's next, our near future and further future plans. And first of all, our plans are about the support. We plan to provide full support for IFC 4x3 release candidate version and full support. There are some issues related to visualization because new entities are introduced in new version, and new entities use new visualization entities for its representation. So it's necessary to consider that all and to be able to proceed it correctly. We plan to add validation support, MVD XML, binary IFC files, HDF5, BEAM, collaboration format support in our Opengl also planned and is currently in progress. And the other aspect is the conversion plans. And here we have three main aspects: Autodesk architecture to IFC, Autodesk Revit to IFC, IFC to Autodesk Revit. And Autodesk architecture to IFC, this feature is in progress. Autodesk Revit to IFC, it's a more complicated feature and it requires more efforts. And IFC to Autodesk Revit, it's a remote future plan. It will be implemented and investigated after only Autodesk Revit to IFC is ready. As for Autodesk architecture to IFC conversion, I wish to show you that we have something in this area. We have a console application that is able to perform the conversion from IFC to from Autodesk architecture to IFC. That's the name of the example. That's our file that is stored here, DWG architecture file, and it is the name of the file that will be created. As you see, it is created. Now let us have a look at the files. Let's open the original DWG file. That's how it looks, and let us use our viewer to open the result. Looks quite similar. Here we wish to request, and we would very much appreciate your also help and your assistance and your attention to this issue. It would be great to have some experience, more real-life examples, more attempts from user side to try this conversion, and that would help to develop and design it in a more efficient way, basing on your feedback. So all attempts to try this conversion, to perform it, and to provide feedback would be very much appreciated. So that's briefly it. And now we are able to start the questions and answer session. And I will give a word to Igor Yegorachyev.
Thanks, Alexander. Hello, everyone. We glad to see you all here. Thanks for interesting in our IFC SDK. And now I'm going to answer questions you have about our SDK. The first question is, can you provide more information about the SDI? Does it have any dependencies on other of the SDK? At the moment, the SDA part is a base for only IFC SDK and no any relation to other ODA SDKs. So right now is IFC SDK only is based on SDI. The second one is, I understand that IFC early bound means types and late bounds late bound means dynamic. What advantages does the dynamic binding give me? Could you give an example where early binding doesn't work? For example, in our IFC SDK we have a module which is called IFC Geom that calculates geometry, builds geometry, and in early stages of implementation we had an issue that we were supporting IFC 2x3 format. We're generating geometry for it, but as soon as we started to support loading of IFC4, we cannot generate geometry in early bound style because we had to work with a different set of classes. So IFC wall in 2x3 schema is a different class of IFC wall of IFC4 schema. So we decided to implement a late bound way of working with SDK to have same code for geometry generation. And now at least one module of IFC SDK is a late bound, and we generate geometry for every format we support. Are using same code, and so this is a benefit of late binding. And of course, this is quite simpler to use late binding when import data from IFC to application as the same code. This is main advantage. The next one. When would I use common data access vs C++ late bound? Common data access way to data is high level over late binding, and it can be used without binding to any format IFC or not. And for example, you can access to common data access tree hierarchy of IFC without knowledge of any IFC classes or without knowledge of anything about IFC. So you can walk, for example, along IFC database with the same code as needed for walking along a Revit database or any other database which supports common data access, and get information about abstract objects which can be vectorized by a vectorizer. or can be drawn, in other words.
Igor looks, it is more a question to me. Can the Open IFC Viewer be extended? It will depend actually on the overall situation, on the feedback, and please provide your feedback about the evaluation of Open IFC Viewer, and we will see. Probably we will add this to the development plan if we, and probably the Building Smart consider it a reasonable feature to be added. We will add it. If you wish to extend it on your side, you can be our member, get the access to OD Viewer. It uses a similar approach and design your IFC Viewer with similar capabilities using our IFC and Visualize SDKs. The next question.
I'm going to add some information about Viewer. Our founding members can Open IFC Viewer is an example application of ODA IFC SDK. So our founding members have access to source codes, and for internal purposes, at least, they can modify and investigate it.
Okay, the next question looks to me as well, how to get started with developing on Open Cloud. It is necessary to be our regular member, to have at least non-commercial membership. The reason is that for now we do not have trial version of Open Cloud SDK. So if you need to start development or evaluation of this SDK, you need to be our regular member. Just apply it. Open Cloud SDK is a part of standard membership. Is the same as IFC SDK, so it will be both SDKs will be available for you, and you'll be able to start the development. And what is the price for Open Design Cloud? As I said, it's possible to start with the non-commercial membership, and it is $300 first year. That is the price. Non-commercial membership has several limitations, but if you wish to start with the development, it is a good option. It is a good option. Okay. Looks the next question is for you.
The next. Does the IFC SDK work with all IFC files? No, at the moment we support only versions that were mentioned in a presentation, but we have plans to make our Express schema compiler public one day. So users, founding members who have access to source codes will get access to compiler and can generate code for schemas that they want. The next question. When the IFC SDK throws some error due to a not valid IFC file, what can I do? At the moment, we can't process all errors which can appear during reading of file, and now the reading of file is will be stopped if we can process the error. So file will not be opened.
Okay, the next question is, does the Lite ODA membership allow us to use IFC and RVT SDK to develop desktop applications? Does it allow to use Open Cloud SDK to develop cloud applications? As I said, IFC and Open Cloud SDKs are part of standard membership. So for our existing members, they are available at no fee. For our potential members, as for IFC SDK, we have a trial version, so it's possible to apply for trial membership and get the 60-day evaluation for free, or it is possible to apply for non-commercial membership and start development. As for the Beam RV SDK, which provides support for VT and RFA Autodesk created files, it is a special interest group project, and it requires at least sustaining membership plus membership in this special interest group. So it can be accessed at a higher price than IFC and Opengl SDKs.
The next question: do you have any plans for certification within Building Smart, and have you tested against existing test files from previous certifications? Of course, the certification is assumed in future. Different converters between format and loading can be certificated, and of course we are working sometimes with files from Building Smart, but of course we have plans in future. The next question: are you able to read-write IFC XML files packed on Opengl? We don't have support of IFC XML files yet. The next question regarding to export to DWG: which entity representations will be exported? Is it possible to export only some of them? IFC to DWG is a kind of example. It exports, it converts to DWG the geometry only, and at the moment it doesn't have functionality to select kinds of entities to export. So everything we can convert will be converted, but this isn't a problem to add to modify IFC to DWG for this functionality. So this is possible in future. Future plans. The next question: future plans for IFC Rail and IFC Road. Sorry. At the moment, we are implementing IFC Road geometrical entities, and now IFC alignment is ready, and a lot of 3D operations like different sweeps which are commonly used for IFC Rail are implemented. So we are working in this direction, and IFC Road will be next. After IFC Road, a part of IFC 4x2 will be ready. The next question: is your SDK flexible enough to support other express formats such as CIS2? We have tried Express compiler with different IFC schemas, and with schemas created manually by us. Some as a part of SDI is also automatically generated. We tried step schemas, but haven't tried CIS2, so I can say, but then we can try, of course. So Express compiler one day will support full. Okay. Express compiler will be enriched as soon as we get as soon as we ask it to support schemas. The next question. Hello, how relevant your SDK is for management generation of IFC file formats for elements representing individual building products like windows, doors, or other products? IFC SDK is enough to fill model with data, but of course, application which exports its data to IFC should provide geometry for windows, doors, or any other products. So we don't generate, and we can't generate geometry for applications who wants to export to IFC file. This should be performed on the side of application or on the side of our ODA exporter as exporter from DWG or Revit formats. The next question from the C++ API, can you output directly to IFC? Directly to
a brief comment from my side. If we're talking about the creation a new IFC file from the scratch, we have even an example on our YouTube channel where we create by means of our C++ API a new file and add an element to it. It is an absolutely valid IFC file with a column element that may be visible, and you can find this example on our channel. If you are talking about creating new files from the scratch, yes, we can. There probably may be some limitations with the particular entities, but in general, it is possible to create a valid IFC file directly and fill it and populate it with and the necessary entities.
And do you offer any online trainings, courses for your SDK?
I think it's more to me a question. Currently, we do not, but we have plans to develop such a training program. So for now, we will be glad to set up, for instance, a meeting if you plan some big and complex product based on our IFC SDK. So we'll be glad to help you get started. You should have my email in the invitations to the webinar, Borovikov at opendesign.com. You can send me the information, your plans, and we will see what information we can provide and what assistance we can provide for you for getting started and have a quicker start and quicker results in this area. So, but there is no like a general cost for now. We are gathering the information and processing it to clarify what this course should consist of.
The next question, step XML or zip? At the moment, we support only a step physical file reading and writing. Probably in one of next sprints, we will support step zip, IFC zip file. This is zipped step physical file. The next question is, what are standard formats such as step.stl that OpenIFC can be converted to? At the moment, OpenIFC Viewer can convert to PDF, but using Visualize SDK, IFC files loaded in Visualize database can be converted to STL and many other formats. So conversion can be performed programmatically using Visualize SDK. The next question, is it possible to query IFC entity geometry without to draw it? In the example that I saw, I need to create a device and after get geometry. Of course, you can access to any data from IFC model using one of API provided. So you don't need to draw it. You can just get IFC Cartesian points, extrudes explicit or implicit geometry, and work with it without visualization and vectorization. Is 32 and 64-bit SDK working with the same performance? In case of large IFC files, what is the max file size, number of entities limit? Of course, 32-bit version has limitations in memory. Usually, IFC data take a lot of memory, so of course, 32-bit application has restrictions to memory and size of model. I believe a typical file of 400 megabytes can be opened in 32-bit mode. In the next question, in ODE-DWG, we have something called geometric dumper. Is this API in any way compatible with IFC SDK? We have example which is called IFC Vectorize. It uses the same technology of vectorizing, I believe, and IFC 2DWG example is also a kind of geometry dumper. So you can look at those examples and understand that this is the same things. Do you support nodes geometry? That was the next question. Yes, in our module, IFC geometry, we get all data from IFC file and node geometry in particular, and convert it to GE curves. So we support node geometry, yes, and curves and surfaces. The next question, how about version compatibilities in IFC? Is this an issue? Can I open old model exported in new version? At the moment, we don't have any converters because data from old formats conversion to new formats cannot be performed in an automatical way. There are a kind of heuristics needed to convert, so we don't have conversion at the moment. It's more simple for us to support new schema or old schema, doesn't matter. Converting between old and new version isn't quite simple as it can be looked at. The next question, does IFC SDK support MVD XML? At the moment, it doesn't, but we had some investigations in that direction, and we will work at MVD XML support in the near future, I believe. The next question, what is the approximate effort in terms of man-month required to implement reading IFC data such as curve, polygon, BREP, and color attributes? The data is available with our IFC SDK, so you can read file and get access to all attributes to reproduce curves, polygons, BREP, and so on. But it needed to say that we started IFC geometry module together with IFC SDK almost a couple of years ago, and IFC geometry module is keep in development since today. So months, probably 1 man month or 2 man month, and this isn't a finish yet. The next question, will it be possible to write IFC from C++ DWG format with polymesh, for example? Yes, we have an example module which is called DWG2 IFC. So you can try, but the main purpose of IFC file is interoperability between formats. And what is the main sense of polymeshes without attributes and parametrical geometry? It seems useless to convert polymeshes from DWG to IFC, but a module can be used, IFC to DWG to IFC. The next question, Boolean operations in IFC are challenging, like cutting windows, opening on walls, and so on. This often leads into invalid meshes. What kind of Boolean geometry kernel are you using, and have you noticed those challenges? We have implementation for ODA facet modeler, which operates faceted geometry. It is working also as a part of drawings SDK. So it keeps bodies, facet modeler bodies in appropriate state. It controls the topology and geometry mainly. More to say, just after opening a file, if geometry needed, we repair incorrect topology and geometry if can. We also use ODA facet modeler is our base implementation at the moment, but usually it works together with ODA solid modeler in particularly for generate geometry for different sweeps of IFC road. And we have implementation for spatial ACES modular. So it can be used if you have license. If you have license. How is the loading performance of large IFC files? More than 500 megabytes. I believe not very slow. Or on my machine, I think it will take 20 seconds for 500 megabytes, I believe. And now we are working on multi-threaded loading, and it will appear in short time. I believe the loading will be faster than at current loading.
Okay, the next question, where do we provide feedback related to Open IFC Viewer? Again, every channel is okay, every channel convenient for you. You can send this feedback me to my email, which you should have in the invitation, and you can also send it just to support@opendesign.com, and we will also receive it. So both approaches are okay, and we'll be grateful and we'll appreciate your feedback in this area too.
The next question, are Autodesk Civil 3D DWG files supported from IFC? For example, IFC 4x1 alignments to Civil alignments. We have tested our alignments implementation with files we get from Civil. So seems yes. The next question, is it possible to create two-dimensional output like SVG out of an imported IFC file? I can't answer. Seems no SVG at the moment, but two-dimensional output can be provided for PDF.
I think it's necessary to double check this, because actually export to SVG is a general part. We'll need to check it. Actually, it's strange, but for now our members didn't try it and didn't report about any issues or the contrary successes with this area. So we can try it and send you the information, or you can try this on your site, or if you're with the trial or regular archives. Or again, send us information, remind us about this issue, and we'll provide you the exact information.
The next question, do you support visualization of all IFC boundary representation, cut planes, extrusion geometry, and so on to device or conversion to shell representation? Yes, we support IFC advanced BREP from IFC4, IFC faceted BREP, Boolean operations and cut planes, extrusions and so on, explicit geometry, but probably not all, but main part of operations and entities and from IFC. Are there any integrated validation or routines tools for writing IFC files? At the moment, we don't have validation. but this is the question of future, because validation can be performed on different levels, at least on validation on schema level, MVD XML level, or the level of geometry, but at the moment we don't provide such functionality which can validate model which was created.
The next question: when can we expect IFC to DWG and other features in .NET Suite? For now, we do not have like exact plans for creating wrappers for IFC SDK. It is more a question of future plans and interest from the member side. So if there will be a strong interest, this implementation will scheduled for earlier time. If there won't be interest, it will be probably postponed a little bit. But overall, in general, we plan to provide wrappers for the major part of our SDKs, and if you have interest or time and possibility, we can probably also discuss this information. Probably you can wrap something on your side basing on the existing experience and existing wrappers. So we will be glad to provide some assistance in this area.
The next question, hello. Can all types of IFC entities of a building model can be created using IFC SDK? All types of IFC entities of a building model can be created using IFC SDK. Yes, so you customers have access to all data from IFC file and can fill model with all data which is described by IFC schema. What about not graphical data? Is it available in the viewer? And will it converted in the XXX to IFC? IFC Viewer generates geometry and generates common data access tree from IFC data using CDA mechanism. And as soon as the user clicked on IFC product, it can see all attributes and values of IFC product and its property sets in a palette of OpenIFC Viewer. So will it be converted in XXX to IFC? This depends on implementation, what converts objects to IFC data. Particularly, it's needed to say that architecture to IFC converts property sets from DWG architecture entities as property sets. So it can be converted by the site who exports objects to other format.
I see one more question. Is the Revit to IFC conversion will be released on this year, and what kind of elements will be considered? I think we'll provide a more exact information on this area during our conference that will take place in September. I think by that time this topic will be more detailed investigated, and the exact information whether this year or not and what elements will be considered will be provided there. It will be probably in online format due to the overall situation, so you will be able also to join to see, to get the exact information and ask questions. But for now we cannot provide like such a strict exact information. It depends now.
The next question is there an IFC entity for building trusses? There are a set of entities which can be used in IFC schemas, which can be used to keep a truss in IFC model. So it can be constructed manually.
Sorry.
The next question is, while reading an IFC file, do you generate and provide also the inverse relationship? Yes, inverse relationships are calculated just after file opened. So yes, we support.
One more question. And for using Revit support, we have to buy BIM-AV license also. Yes, BIM-AV, as I said, it's a special interest group and is distributed under special additional license. It has a prerequisite that the membership level should be sustaining or higher, and additionally, it's necessary to have an additional license to access BIM-AV SDK for Autodesk Revit files. And one more question, you told briefly about PDF. Is the PDF in vector or in a bit? In the example that was shown, the 3D PDF publish, we have a PSC model embedded in a PDF document. That's why it's possible to use it as a 3D object with rotation and similar things.
So for PDF, both ways are available, as a 3D model and as a raster image. The next question, have you looked into georeferencing in IFC yet? Yes, we have looked, but this part of IFC isn't implemented yet. As I see, the latest 21.4 contains Open IFC Viewer project. Does the sample contain all code that it needs to build the viewer? Would it be enough simply to add the project to the solution? Open IFC Viewer is an example which is a part of ODA IFC SDK, and it is based on ODA IFC Visualize. SDK is based on components part, is based on facet modeler, and yes, it is enough to simply add the project to solution to build it, but together with all parts of ODA IFC SDK needed for it, visualize and so on. Yes, Open IFC Viewer can be built as example together with all related SDKs. The next question. From the C++ API, how does one access the SDK viewing tools? For example, is there support for putting the graphical into an Opengl context? You customers can use our common ODA core way to vectorize IFC model, and this intermediate level uses Opengl context. So this is possible using ODA core mechanisms. Do you support multi-threading for loading IFC files? As I mentioned before, at the moment we working on multi-threading loading of the physical file, so it will be supported in near future. Does IFC model and viewer handle texture files. At the moment, we don't have support for textures, only colors. So it seems
Okay.
all questions are answered.
So looks we do not have questions for now anymore. We wish to thank everybody for participating in the webinar today. If you have any questions, please send us. We will send you the record of this webinar after small processing, and we'll send to all the persons registered. So in case some of your colleagues registered but could not visit the webinar, they will get the video. Please feel free to ask questions, provide your feedback. I added in the chat my email. We'll be glad and will appreciate your feedback, and we engage everybody to try the IFC SDK, because for our existing members it is available for without any additional fee. For our potential members it is available as a trial version. Please let us know. We'll be glad to help you getting started, and we engage you to join us to join our next webinar that will be dedicated to BIM NV, the SDK for Autodesk Navisworks format support, that will take part in June, approximately the same date, but in June. I'll be glad to see you all at this webinar as well. So thank you everybody.
Thank you.
And goodbye. Hope to see you next time on the next webinar.
Goodbye. Thanks.